Build the hype. Think of polls. Think of teasing them in some way, talking about it, sharing what's to come, sharing your why, sharing your purpose, sharing your vision, all of those things. I'm bringing you guys in for exclusive access into a group training that I just filmed earlier today that's all about building your podcast audience before you even launch. So regardless of if you're launching a podcast, launching a business, or even launching an offer within your business, this is a really great strategy that you can follow so that you're pre-launching before you launch, so that you're actually building and growing an audience and providing value to them before you launch your thing. So you're not just launching the thing and saying, oh my gosh, I just launched this podcast. No, you're doing the work to ensure that people are actually excited. You're building the hype. You're getting people into this experience with you so that when you launch, they're excited. So drop in to this episode. This is a masterclass, so grab a pen, grab paper, and buckle up, because I'm going to reveal the secrets of how we're launching our together podcast, Stephen and I, Perceptions in the Wild. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So yes, the theme of today, I was starting to just sit and say, okay, how can I start to bring you guys on this experience of the launch of Perceptions in the Wild and share with you how we're doing that? Little things like how we got a sponsor with 0 episodes and 0 audience, and how we're building this audience before we even launch the show. And no matter where you're at right now, if you're launching a podcast or you're launching a business or you're launching a type of offer, it doesn't really matter. This is how you would do that. So we're just kind of taking that through the lens of a podcast, but yeah, that's the idea. So kind of no matter where you're at, this will help. Okay. So do you guys feel like this would be helpful? Like if I just kind of share okay, I see some head nods. So that's great. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. I figured I was like, I want to just share what we've been working on and what's been working for us. And we'll see where it takes us. So you can see the slides on my screen. Yeah. You can see them. Okay. Can I get thumbs up? You can see them. Okay, cool. And then if you have questions, if anything comes up, if you have a comment, if anything, either type question in the chat or just type question in the chat, and then I'll just come over to you and we'll pause for a sec. Okay. So let's start here. There's a phase that everybody misses when they go to launch anything, and that's before they launch. If you go to launch something and you start talking about it the day you launched it, you missed the whole point of a launch, honestly. Okay. So we've got to make sure that this before we launch phase is fully utilized. Like we're sucking all the juices out of it. Now, if you're in this room and you already have a podcast, Stephen, I'm looking at you. That's you. Okay. If you already have a podcast and maybe you're looking to relaunch it or it fell off and you want to get back into the groove, this is still what you should do. Okay. You should basically relaunch it. Okay. So the whole idea here in this phase is we're doing some planning, we're creating content, making sure our brand is good, and we're marketing. Okay. This is how we're going to start to attract an audience before we launch. Then we're launching to people, right? Okay. And we're going to talk about 2 ways to do that. So George, this one side's for you. The side that's more in person, not online. I know that's your jam. And then there's another side, which is how do we do this online? So we'll kind of take both directions there, and I'll show you both of the ways that we're doing that right now and what's working. Yeah, cool. Okay. So let's start with this. If you're looking to do this, most of you are online. It really comes down to choosing the right platform. Okay. Yes, there's so many social media platforms. In reality, you can repurpose your content all over the place, but there should be one that you're focusing on the most. And that's kind of what you're creating content for. Right. So like for us, when we were launching Perceptions in the Wild, we were like, okay, we're going to be documenting our travels, our RV lifestyle, and where would those people be hanging out? And we started to do some research and look online. Of course, there's Facebook groups for that. Of course, there's Instagram influencers. There's YouTube, of course. But then we started to see TikTok. We were like, you know what? TikTok looks like a place where we could grow with no audience rather quickly, where we could post content and be kind of goofy and not be so structured. And grow rather quickly. And we looked at TikTok as a way to grow the podcast, grow the YouTube, grow the Instagram, and everything else. So our plan is to focus on TikTok and allow that to grow all the other platforms. That's the idea. So I'm not saying that's necessary for you, but the idea of it is to see where your people are and what you feel like is going to excite you most about creating content. So if your people are all business professionals, TikTok might not be the right place, right? Maybe you're LinkedIn, but you've got to, the idea here is you choose one place, just one, and that's your primary focus. And you just kind of repurpose that content for everywhere else. Okay. So don't overcomplicate this. Just choose one. That should be like, we should be taking weight off your shoulders right now. That should feel good. So I'm not asking you to do it all. It's not necessary, especially right when you're just trying to launch something. Okay. Beautiful. So does anybody feel like they already know what their one platform is? Like type it in the chat if you feel like you know what that is. Okay, LinkedIn, Steven. Yeah, I just saw you post on there like today, Steven. So good job. LinkedIn. Okay, we got 2 LinkedIn already. Nice. Yeah, LinkedIn is great. Interesting. What about the rest of you? Sandy, you look like you don't know. YouTube. Okay, cool. George. Sandy's not sure. Okay, well, hopefully you find a little bit of clarity. I'm not sure. Okay, that's fine. If you're unsure, just set a timer at some point today or tomorrow for 5, 10, 15 minutes tops, and just put yourself in the seat of your ideal client. Where are they hanging out? What groups are they a part of? So that's the one side. The other side is, where do you want to create content for? Right? YouTube and TikTok, 2 wildly different types of content you're going to create, right? Same with LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Reels, very different. However, you can still share them everywhere. So it's 2 parts. What do you want to create? Where are your people hanging out? Set a timer. Okay. All right. So we're going to break this down at the end, by the way, in action steps. So I always bring it full circle, or I try to, so I don't leave you guys like, whoa, that was a lot. We're going to bring it all back. Okay. So then we've got our platform. Okay. Now it's a content strategy. Look at this. I'm actually going to, I don't want to share this. Okay. So Steve and I's idea was, okay, we're going to look at TikTok and we're going to see what's working for other creators that are people who would be a great fit to listen to our podcast are already posting. How can we either improve upon that content, emulate it, basically just redo it, or just start sharing their stuff? And so that's really what we started doing. Because the whole idea here is, if you're brand spanking new somewhere, we've got to start to share value. That's what's going to help and make people want to come along on this journey with you. Right? So we need a type of content strategy. So once you've chosen your platform, okay, there's a lot of LinkedIn's happening right now. So let's say you choose LinkedIn, then it's okay. We're looking to attract our podcast audience. What is the kind of content that ultimately they want to be receiving that they're not already? Maybe you see in the marketplace, there's a ton of content about, I'm just going to go with what we do, RV lifestyle, but you don't see any content about RV lifestyle with kids, for example. That's a gap in the marketplace that we can start to put content into and basically close that gap. Like, you're looking for areas that you can make this industry better. Okay. So very simply, if you just start with one thing today, one piece of content could be just opening up and sharing your story about why you actually want to do this. If you haven't done that, that is the one place to start. Why is this important to you? Why should people want to follow along on your journey? You are like in the pre-launch phase. The beautiful, beautiful part is that you're not really officially launched yet, So you're in this beautiful like flow of being able to bring people on the launch with you and say, hey, this is why I really want to launch this podcast, and share. How is it different? How are you excited? All these things, like, make them want to come on this journey with you. And that's what your content does. That's like the coolest part of content, is you get to get people excited about something before it even exists. Has anybody here ever, okay, Alex Hormozy did this really well for his book launch, but has anybody here ever been a part of something online or in person where it wasn't launched yet, but you were really excited about it because you knew something was coming? Has anybody ever felt that before? Okay, Jim's on his head. Oh, yeah. Okay, if you haven't, we got to follow better marketers. Yeah. Okay, if you have, what was that thing that you were excited about? Type it in the chat, or just say it out loud. What was the thing for you, Jim? I'm curious.
So yeah, I started two churches, and it's kind of like having a baby. They recommend 9 months to plan and prepare, and we had preview services, and so we weren't a church yet, but we did a lot of outreach, a lot of events leading up to it. So it was kind of like building that excitement for the actual launch date. So it kind of a lot of anticipation, but a lot of activity during that too. So it was good. It was good.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And George said a snowmobile. It could be for anything. So the content strategy, look, I can do an entire lesson just on content strategy, and that's not the focus of today. I could, but I want to keep it much higher level to the strategy of this. So without going into content pillars and getting in the weeds and overcomplicating this, the idea with a content strategy is you just want to build hype. So for example, like Sandy, for you, I know that you're going to have a podcast cover art coming out soon, right? So what you can do once you have a slight version that you are starting to like is we can put, like, first off, you could put option A and option B side by side. Hey, choosing a cover art, which one do you guys like? And you can bring people, help them, or I'm sorry, have them help you choose which one you're going to go with. Right? Or put a big like stamp on it and say podcast coming soon, cover art about to drop, but you actually don't share the cover art. Right? So build the hype for what's to come. That's the whole idea here. Okay. So, and if you guys want a full-blown content strategy, and you feel like that would be necessary, go ahead and just type it in the chat if you want, and I can think of in the coming weeks about doing something deeper in a content strategy. But for now, I'll just keep it at that. Build the hype. Think of polls. Think of teasing them in some way, talking about it, sharing what's to come, sharing your why, sharing your purpose, sharing your vision, all of those things. Really just documenting what you're going through right now. Yeah. Okay. So honestly, don't let this hang you up too much. All you can do is just start documenting what you're already doing as you start to launch, whatever it is. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So I wanted to do a 2.5-minute journal exercise. And the reason that I like doing these is because rather than me just speaking to you, because nobody wants that for too long, at least I don't. So, what we do is we have journal exercises every now and then, because what that's going to do is actually help you see where you can implement this for yourself. And there's nothing better than that, because every one of you is going to be slightly different in how you want to approach this. So let me grab some music for you. And then probably going to get a YouTube ad.
This morning, I closed $22,000 on this bar.
Okay. Yes, YouTube ad. So let me, there. Beautiful. Okay. So there's 3 parts to this question. Okay. The first one is getting clear on who your podcast listeners, or if you're not launching a podcast and you're launching something else, who are those people? who you want to attract. Describe them briefly, including their interests and their problems. How can your podcast help or entertain them? So we got to get clear there. Because a lot of times, if we understand their interests, we can find them online. If we understand their problems, we can create content for that. All right, so that's the first part. The second part is, what topics or stories are you excited to share on your podcast? Right? Maybe that's your story. Maybe that's your why for wanting to do this, like we were talking about a few minutes ago. So list a few ideas that really reflect your interest, but also your expertise. Okay. And then the third part, how often can you realistically create and publish content on social media? What's your plan to let people know about your podcast? Okay. Or your offer. Okay. So, also don't be afraid to push yourself a little bit on that last one, out of your comfort zone. So if maybe you were going to say twice a week, maybe go for 3 or 4. Okay. I'm going to play some music and give you guys 2.5 minutes. All right, we've got about 40 seconds left. See what else comes through. Says Indian flute meditation sleep music. So if I'm putting you to sleep, I apologize. But I love the Indian flute. So beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I know, right? I always love listening to it. Okay, so I want to fire you guys up for a sec because I feel like I haven't talked about this in a while and it's wildly powerful. So I shared something on my Instagram story today. Actually, let me stop sharing this for a sec. And it was actually from Jenna Kutcher, and she was sharing how much basically she's projected to make from her podcast this year. And it was, can anybody guess? Actually, I don't know if you saw it, but can anybody guess in the chat? Type in whatever number that you feel she would be making from her podcast in the next 12 months. See a head nod like, I have no idea. 425K, 1.2, 600,000. Yeah. So over $1 million on her podcast in the next 12 months. So granted, she's a complete badass and has been doing it for quite a few years. And she's, I mean, crushing it online. Let's be honest. But to just give you an idea of what's possible, I really wanted to bring that in. And the fact that you see all of these thought leaders in the industry filming these interviews and filming, Steve actually just brought this over. Joe Rogan just filmed Elon Musk and they shared it in the podcast. They shared it on YouTube. They turned it into a bunch of different shorts and just put those all over the internet. And so just to show you, like, obviously Joe Rogan does that, but so many people in the industry are doing podcasts because there's such a beautiful way to capture audio and video content and then breaking that up for everywhere else on social media. So just know the industry is really, really owning the podcast space, and it's only growing more and more all the time. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. And I just think the popularity growth it's really cool to witness and be a part of. So yeah. Is that exciting or what? How cool
Who pays for some of that?
Yeah. So Jenna Kutcher would have a lot of sponsors on her show. She also does some paid traffic and some paid ads. That's actually the person a couple months back. I remember playing her, and you were not a fan of Jenna Kutcher, but
You got a good memory, darn it.
I do. So that was her.
Yeah.
But she's crushing it. A lot of people do love her. I'm one of those. I'm a Jenna Kutcher fan.
Sure.
But
I don't have a problem with that. That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of that would be sponsor traffic, that kind of thing. Or speaking engagements that come from the show.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Super cool.
Yeah, super cool.
All right. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna keep plugging away. I think where are we at? Where are we at? I don't think I'm sharing. Hold on. What's happening? There we are. Okay. So, yep, creating content. Boom. There we go. Okay, so does anybody have any questions, anything about this part that we just went through, the content side of things? I know we're not going too deep in the weeds right now, but just any burning questions, feel free to jump in now before we kind of press forward here.
Jamie, I have a question.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, all these questions are great. And the very last one, how often can you realistically create and publish content, sparked a question. Like on average, what on average, like how often should you be creating and publishing? Maybe it's more publishing is the question. Like how often a month should that take place?
For content on your podcast or social media, or both?
Content on the podcast.
Yeah. A lot of it's going to depend on your schedule. Okay. Because there's some people who they hardly have any time at all. But I think from what I've seen, once a month is not enough.
Yeah.
Twice. Like I had 3 a week, and then that was just too much with my schedule, to be honest. So then I did 2. And now since we have 2 podcasts, I'm at 1 per week.
Yeah.
So I think 1 per week is great, especially if you're repurposing that for content for social media.
Yeah.
Then it should give you enough for that week's content.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me that you would do one a week. And then that way it's like like if you set a day and a time and everyone knows that that's when it's going to launch. And then the rest of the content is repurposed. So, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Beautiful. All right. Cool. So then everybody is always like, okay, I'm launching this thing. I need a website. I can't launch this thing without a website. And it's just not entirely necessary, to be honest, especially if it's a podcast. That's not to say that you shouldn't eventually have one. Okay. I had one for a long time. Actually, do I even have one right now? I don't think I have one right now because I took down jamiecoleman.com because it's going through this whole revamp thing, right? So I don't even have one right now. But what we did do for Perceptions in the Wild was create a really simple link in bio. Now, why did we do this? because I wanted a place where if someone wanted to come follow us on Instagram, they can find our TikTok, they could find our podcast, they could subscribe to our YouTube once it drops. All of the things are available right there in a link in bio. So it's pretty much the norm on social media at this point. It's so easy to create. And then it just gives them one place to go where they can just find you all over. Now, please do not be the person, and I'm sorry if one of you already is, that puts 500 links in their link in bio. Like, please don't do that. Shorten it up. Look, because, okay, if you're looking to go and you're going to go buy something, or you're going to go basically do anything nowadays, if there's more than 3 options, your chances of just bouncing and not doing anything are very high. So on a link in bio, it's funny because you'll be like, Jamie, I only have 1 link to put there. Good. That's even better, because then it's very clear what their next step is, right? It could even look like step 1, go subscribe to our YouTube. Step 2, go to our TikTok. Step 3, go to our LinkedIn, right? Very, very simple. Okay. So why we did this, okay, this is where George is going to have some fun. Okay. Why we did this was because I wanted a place in person where we could actually send traffic. Okay. Because we travel a lot, we go and we meet a bunch of people, and they're not all online. Right. And I'm sure for all of you, you're out there doing stuff and you don't just want to have to be on Instagram or LinkedIn all day long. Right. We want to be building the hype offline too. So what we did was we created, let me see if I can see my thing. We created this. Okay. That's Perceptions of the Wild, and there's a QR code. I don't know if it will work for you guys, but you could try it. I don't know if it will work unless I back up. Let's see if we can get focused. Okay, try that. Let me know if it works. Is anybody going to be my guinea pig?
I'm trying it. I just needed to make my screen bigger.
Okay, let's see.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
it
'cause I
worked.
forgot I'm sharing. It did? Okay.
Wait,
let me
hold
just
on.
stop the share.
Can you hold it back
Yeah,
up? Okay.
that should be better.
It came up for a minute and then it disappeared. It came up for a quick minute and then it just disappeared.
Weird. It should work.
That's a good logo, Jamie.
It is a great logo.
Thank you. It was
Yeah,
so
that's very
fun.
nice.
Okay. So
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to work for you guys. I'm going to drop it in the chat. /link in bio. Hopefully I got that URL right, because I don't normally have to remember it. Okay, let's see. No, I don't. I'm going to type it in the chat because I just want you guys to see how easy it can be. Okay. It doesn't need to be complicated at all. I'm just going to our Instagram real quick. Hold on. Let me just pull it from there. So then this bio, rather than having your website all over the place, all you need is your link in bio, and you can just share that. Super simple.
And you put that in Instagram?
Instagram, TikTok, all over the place. But the primary reason, to be honest, that we made it was really just to go on this, because I wanted people who we meet in person to be able to come and follow along on the journey, because those are like honestly the best fans that you could have, because you've met them, there's rapport, all the things. I just put it in the chat. So we have a website, which is a coming soon page. So all I did was just collect their name, email, and phone number, listen to podcast, visit the blog, which once again, coming soon. So all I did was a simple coming soon opt-in. That's it. But you don't even need to do that. I'm kind of a funnel nerd. So I just whipped it up. But then at the bottom, there's all the links to follow us all over the place. So that's been what we've been focusing on in person, is how do we start a list and how do we begin to cultivate more traffic of people that we know. That's not our like mom. You know what I mean?
So you hand those out? You just personally, you meet somebody and you hand them out. It's that simple.
Yeah, we've got an entire bag full. We got
That's
hundreds
awesome.
of them.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And I have it too for my personal podcast marketing one. I've done it for that one too. So if I'm ever at events or I'm anywhere, rather than handing out a business card, it's actually a sticker. So I hand out a sticker and then it's got a QR code that goes to my own personal link in bio for Jamie Coleman.
How do you get the QR codes? Do you have to buy
Yeah,
this?
so no, you don't have to buy it. On Canva, there's a way to actually just type in your URL for your
Okay.
website, and then just with a click of a button, it's so simple. It just creates the QR code, and you can just plug it into any design that you have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and like Jim, for you, I'm kind of thinking of you right now. Like you with your launch coming up, you doing something like this and handing out a sticker or something to every single person at one of your talks in the audience would be an incredible way, because Jim does a lot of speaking engagements and he goes and does like trainings in front of rooms full of people. You having something like this to hand them where they can go and they can basically follow along when your podcast does launch, like that could be really cool for you. Yeah.
Sweet.
Beautiful. So, I guess, yeah, I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I might as well just, for those of you who haven't seen it, just to show you how simple this can be. That's the only reason I'm showing you this. Okay, just check this out. It's gonna look really weird because it's on a website. It's supposed to be on a phone, so you wouldn't see the screen stuff. Look at, that's it. It's so simple. And there's probably websites out there, I don't know what they are. There's websites out there that you can just make this. It's already pre-done for you. All you got to do is just change the links and the colors and add whatever you want on there. Okay. So keep it simple. That's the idea of that. Okay.
Did you create that yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do it. You can do it for sure. I love building funnels and stuff, though. I'm kind of a nerd like that. I find it so fun.
I'm a dumb contractor. I can't do that.
Oh, well, it's all right.
That was-
There's
that's
also
good.
like websites, there's templates, there's a bunch of things that help make that easier for those who don't know web design super well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even, look, if you guys really just want to own your one platform and you're like, Jamie, this whole link in bio thing, it sounds crazy. I don't want to do that. You could literally link this QR code straight to your TikTok, straight to your LinkedIn. And then it's super clear. No one's going to get lost. It's like, hey, go follow my TikTok. And then boom, all it does is just link them right into TikTok. So, I mean, you can do that. If you're like, Jamie, I don't want to make a link in bio, then don't. Send it somewhere else. That's fine. Yeah. Just remove. I think that the idea is like remove the resistance wherever the resistance exists. Okay. You know, I love my slides. Okay. Beautiful. So moving right along here. So you can do this as a flyer. If you're like, I don't want to go ordering stickers, Jamie. Cool. Do you have a printer? All you have to do is you could just create like a hook, create some type of hook and put a little QR code and just make 20 of them on one sheet of paper. Take some good old fashioned scissors and then boom, now you got little, I don't know what you want to call it, little handouts. And you can just blast those all over the place, right? Even if you want to do that now until you have stickers, still a cool idea, right? Or you could get fancy, make some Canva flyers, print them out and start just flagging all the cars nearby or something, handing them out at your events, whatever you want to do. I would just recommend having something physical that you can actually hand someone that's not necessarily a business card that actually guides them somewhere. That's the idea. Sends them to something like a link in bio. Beautiful. Okay. And then last one, this is just kind of summarizing all of this, and then we'll drop into more Q&A type of stuff. So it's choosing your primary platform, your number one place you want to show up, and kind of repurpose from there. Developing a type of content strategy, aka building the hype. Okay. Don't overthink that part. Engaging with your audience, right? Looking to build community. Utilizing a type of link in bio or just straight up sending people to one of your platforms. That's fine too. And then creating some type of physical promo material that you can just hand out to people that you know. I mean, and if you want to keep it really simple, make a QR code on your phone and just be like, hey, scan this. Okay. Scan this thing right here. If you want to do that now and you're like, Jamie, I don't want physical materials and I don't want to wait, do that. Keep it super simple. We just need some place to send people. All right. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So what is coming up for you guys? Let's drop into some questions if you have any. or shares if anything has coming through or coming up for you. And feel free, you can just unmute yourself as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when you talk about launching your podcast and what you and your husband are going to be doing, what's the time frame that's driving you? Like you've got all the stuff that you're doing beforehand. How much time are you giving yourself to do that preliminary work before you actually launch?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I actually had something I wanted to show you guys that answers that. And I didn't put it in the slides, so I forgot. Yeah, it's a great question. I think at minimum 2 weeks. At maximum, once again, you don't want it to go too long because then it's just annoying for everyone. And that's kind of what we did. And the reason for that is, so see this guy, this is the company that sponsored us. This thing is so badass. You'll see us using it in every single episode of ours. We were waiting for that for a long time. And so our issue was we didn't realize it was going to take so long to get it. And so we were starting to build the hype, start promoting stuff. And then that took like a month after we started. And we were like, oh my God. Then by the time it got here, kind of life was happening and we were kind of out of the flow doing podcast stuff. So ours has like drug out way longer than we thought it would, honestly. But I would say 2 weeks if you're going to be posting consistently and you're really trying to like hustle and get it done. A month would be, I think, perfect timing, honestly. Any longer than that, I think at that point, there's probably a block, a limiting belief, like something we got to like work through that's holding you back from doing it.
So the 2 weeks is for promotional, like something's coming, we're going to be launching this soon. Or if you need a month, like you can spend a month promoting. Is that what you're saying? What's that thing that you held up?
Yeah, it's so cool. I'll show you guys. Let me see. Okay. So the top pops right off. It's a travel case, okay? And then this is a center piece. And what's cool about it is it has speakers around the whole entire thing. And so we can set this by the fire or set that by the creek or wherever we're filming, and it's going to capture the ambient sound that's happening around us, like the birds and the crackles of the fire and all the things. And then we have these lavaliers. There's 4 of them. So then these clip on us here, and then it's a less than 2-minute setup. So I just got to hit this button and now it's recording. That's it. So it's just a really good setup and it's really good quality. So then like Steve wears one of these and then we can just film and it stores it all on here. So then we can just take it home with us and go. And these guys actually sponsored us. We really just shared the vision for our show, how we really want to change the game of podcasting from needing to be in a studio like this to filming when you're feeling most inspired, and shared about our RV lifestyle and really what we're building and what we're looking to create. And they were like, you know what, there's 2 kinds of people that we're looking for. This is hugely important. There's 2 kinds of people that we're looking for. Person number 1 has 100,000 followers and a lot of engagement on their profiles. That's one type of person. But the other type of person aligns perfectly with what we created this device for. And they have a vision that's powerful and it's impact driven and they're looking to change the world. And that's where you guys fit in. Because we had 0 audience, 0 episodes, just a vision. And they got on board with that, which is really cool. So yeah, that broke a milestone for me. I was like, wow, that's possible. Bring it on.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And I just want to say, I cannot wait for your podcast. One, because you're doing something different. You're not in a studio, you're outside, you're embracing nature, which we all need to be doing more of that. Yeah. And, I've been working with a group to learn to do video and be comfortable with the video. And one of my questions to them was, can I do some of my recording outside? And the response that I got was, well, it's going to be hard to hear and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, but there's so much healing power in nature. So I just love what you guys are doing. And you're doing something different. And I just can't wait. I can't wait to hear the crackle of the fire and nature. It's going to be very healing and can't wait for the conversation. So I'm excited for you all.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm telling you, we're really looking to change the way that others feel like they can show up and feel like if they're feeling more creative in nature, show up and do it in nature and find ways like this. This has been a savior for us because we had the same question. How are we going to do this and it still be quality? And so that's where, finding ways to still do that. And you don't need something like that necessarily. There's other lavaliers and stuff. Just find a way and it'll be great.
Are you gonna do video?
Yes, it's audio and video.
Yeah, that's perfect. With
Yeah.
the same device, or you're gonna just have uh I guess other video capabilities with other equipment.
Yeah, I'll either use this camera, but honestly, I'm the kind of
Yeah.
person I need it already set up or I don't want to do
Yeah.
it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So this I don't like moving. So I say that, but I don't think I'm really going to use it. I've just been using my phone on a tripod
Right. Right.
and all we've got to do, the audio's separate, unfortunately, but you can just mesh it together at the end.
Right.
And it's kind of what we've been
It
doing.
it seems like a lot of people are starting to use their phones,
Yeah,
not
definitely.
not digital equipment.
Yeah.
And it seems
But
and it
it's
seems to be
simple.
like the quality's good for being on the move and being outside and all that. The quality's as good as any probably remote setup that you have there almost.
Yeah.
It is. The newer cameras are
Smaller,
fascinating. So yeah,
simpler.
yeah.
So once
Very
again, this
cool.
goes back to the don't overcomplicate it thing because
Yeah.
it just doesn't need to be.
No, very cool.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I can show you. I had 2 documents that I was going to show you. They're not in the portal. You're not going to find them anywhere else. They're literally just one was a checklist for ourselves, very specific to our podcast launch, but I'll show you because then you can look through the lens of what you're doing and create. I know I've provided all of you a launch checklist, but yes, that you should have that and print it out, but you creating your own, that is like your own podcast name, your own podcast launch date is also, I feel like, important because the other one was more high level. This is more specific to you. So I hope that makes sense. So I'll show you that. And then the other one was I was documenting the first 3 weeks and what we did inside of those to really get to the point where we were ready to film. So would that be helpful if I share that?
Wouldn't it, I would love to see you filming like all this stuff, getting ready to actually film. Like the
Film.
back door, how exciting would it be to you and Steve filming yourself of discussing how it's all going to go down in a couple weeks.
Mm,
Wouldn't that be cool? And you guys are going bap, 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 bap. It'd be just like a quick little episode of this is how it got all put
Behind the
together.
scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes of how it got put together. That would be fascinating.
It kills me that you say that because so it takes us 10 minutes to get into a groove. So we'll be it's kind of a little awkward for a few minutes and it's like, what are we going to talk about? We kind of just sit there and then we're silent for way too long. And then finally, something shifts and then it's just this back and forth mastermind that starts happening. And that was happening a month ago. And we were brainstorming the name, what the purpose was, how we're going to launch it. We were talking about doing a giveaway and doing all this crazy stuff in this launch. We were planning everything. And I'm like, damn it. That would have been the perfect first podcast episode. So
Yep.
Yes, that was a learning lesson to just film. If you're just starting to get ideas, just film it.
Because you can always edit it out.
Exactly.
You don't even have to, you don't have to let anybody else know other than you. It'd just be fun to watch. But yeah, well, you can still do it, I guess. You can still do it. As you're getting out of the car and you're walking somewhere, you can just hit play, I guess, and walk and then decide what direction you're heading or whatever, or how it all goes down. Live on the streets.
Yep.
Life
That's the
life
idea.
on the corner. Yeah, it's like life on the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Beautiful. So I will show you how we did this. Obviously still working through it. So you guys see this live, which is kind of cool. So I kind of broke it up into 3 categories. So you'll see the branding aspect. the pre-launch aspect, and then the actual launch. So a lot of this started in the branding section. As you see, that's where most of the stuff is actually like checked off.
Yeah.
So, and feel free to screenshot this, I guess, if you guys want to emulate this for yourself.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So what I started to do was the stuff that I was working on next is what's highlighted. Because my brain needs to see things like that, or else I just get way too confused. So it was, okay, what's next? Okay, well, we need to do some merch. I want to make sure the YouTube's optimized. And then we need to film 2 more launch episodes. What's inside of those? And I even put some ideas. We've already filmed 2 full episodes at this point, but we need 2 more to launch. So that's the idea here. Anything else that's not highlighted and not check marked isn't really on my radar yet. I'm not even thinking about it. Yeah, that's kind of how we broke it down. So I took each big task, like, for example, one of you, I think it was George, put YouTube as being your primary focus. So then,
Yes.
Underneath that, there's like a lot of smaller things that need to happen for it to be optimized. Now, this might not be for all of you, but just this is the idea behind it. So you take the big thing and just break it up into the smaller things that need to be done. So I knew I needed a banner, a cover photo, a description. I needed a B-roll. So for example, I needed some video that's going to play with our show music that's going to look visually eye-catching on a YouTube, okay? And then I needed a podcast playlist. So I can't do this one until I actually have an episode launched. So It's kind of on hold, but I did as much as I could at this point. Same thing with a cover photo. In order to design the cover art, you need a photo, right? So that was the first thing. After that, we need to design it. And now it's done, which I have never shared with anyone, by the way. So you guys will see it soon. So yeah, it's just kind of piecing it together like that, which is what has worked for us. So just a simple Google Doc, guys. Keep it simple.
Mm-hmm. Is it still so do you have a time limit like you had on your aligned with purpose? You kind of generally did 25 minutes, give or take, a little bit. Like, so are you guys, or is this just wide open? Like it could just be something quick, or it could be hours or hour or whatever. Like, or are you still trying to go into, like just be like, all right, we're going to do it for 20 to 30 minutes?
Yeah. Steve likes them way shorter, actually. He's
Okay,
like, can we just do a 5-minute episode? I'm like, yeah, sure. But then I think it's naturally longer though with both of us, because what's happening is like I'll add my insights and then he'll add, like, maybe he didn't agree with something, maybe he did, and he'll just kind of like feed back into that. So it's more interview style in a way. So it's naturally longer than a solo for sure. But we're going to start doing a lot shorter ones and just pulling like one tiny topic and just elaborating on that for a sec, instead of like, I think there's a lot of shows with co-hosts that are like really, really long and go down a lot of different rabbit holes. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like Joe Rogan's is like that and he's crushing it. But for me, that's just not my style. I would rather someone listen to a 10-minute episode and get a gem and then feel like they got what they went for, instead of having to listen to like this whole drawn out thing. So that's just my style, but you'll find yours, whatever feels aligned to you.
Yeah. Perfect.
Heck yeah. So that's kind of the checklist. I also gave you guys one. It's going to be a lot simpler than this because it's not going to provide like this stuff underneath the main thing, but it'll give you the main thing, which is enough to get you started. And
Jamie, I have another question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you had 2 more podcasts to record before you go live.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the philosophy behind that? And so you're wanting, are you trying to be a month ahead of yourself? Or how's that working for you?
Yeah, definitely getting ahead is good for sure. Because if you already go into it feeling behind, it's just not like a good feeling. You want to feel ahead. Yeah. But I like to launch with a teaser episode and then 2 or 3 body episodes all at the same time. Why do we do this? We want to get the download numbers up from day 1, as soon as you launch. So if you can at least launch with that many, then also it gives people a better idea of what to expect and hopefully like captivates them. And then after that, you're into your normal posting frequency. So say you launch on a Wednesday, all of those episodes, by the next Wednesday, if you're doing once a week, you're in a normal flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Cool. Cool. And then another thing that I have been doing as we've been launching this, now granted, we were at a standstill kind of after this. So what we kept doing was continuing to post. But as I was doing this, I documented what we were doing each week, just to hopefully give you guys at least a starting point for yourself. So this is kind of week 1. So if you guys are looking at a 3 or 4 week launch, this could be a good system. And I know I've got a workbook for you. There's all the things, but this is just personally what I did that I feel like worked really well. So yeah, get super clear, create the catchy name. That's kind of first step. You do or don't have to trademark. That's probably going to be something that you guys would ask a question on. You do or don't need to do that. It just kind of depends on your goals with it, if that is necessary to you or if not. Aligned with purpose in life and leadership isn't trademarked. Don't you go stealing my name, though. It's not trademarked, but Perceptions in the Wild is one with that we are going to be trademarking there. So this is kind of there. So website URL, branded email. If you want to get all branded and funky, do that. Instagram handle, YouTube name, TikTok account. Just kind of grab all the handles for your show. You know, choose one social media, go all in on, which we just covered that today. Week 2 is kind of the branding focus. Okay, create link in bio. Look, we just talked about that today too. Beautiful. And then week 3 could be your cover art photo. Send it to a designer. Choose your music. Create a sticker. Look, a lot of these things we already talked about today. Isn't that cool? And then continue posting, right, until everything else is ready to launch. So I think throughout this whole thing, the content we brought in today is kind of happening in the background. But then this kind of beautifully maps out how you could incorporate the things we talked about today. But yeah, that's the exact process that we just did for ours.
So Jamie, I'm kind of doing that process now.
Yeah.
I still don't know where my kind of niche is. I'm kind of tossing between TikTok and Facebook. I'm still not really sure where to go yet. Yeah, I'll need to kind of have a think and see if I can. I have a lot of views on TikTok, but nothing sort of comes of it. But at least I get more views than anywhere else on social media. So maybe TikTok is my niche.
I mean, knowing you're doing organizing stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds really cool for TikTok, but Facebook is it's so different at this point, especially with how the algorithm works. Facebook is more, you're going to go in there into groups and kind of you provide value and you be sharing content, where TikTok is more attraction, and you could have a post go viral with 0 followers, which is also a great place to start. So, I mean, I think they should both be a part of your strategy, but the one you create content for.
Yeah, Pinterest is another good one. I actually forgot to put in my little wins that I've opened a YouTube channel. I'm designing a website. I'm working on my cover photo, still not quite there yet. But I've managed to do all these little things, and I've actually done more in the last week than I actually ever have. And doing the tech stuff as well. Win-win for me. So yeah, I'm really happy with my progress this week.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Pinterest could be a really good one, especially for the bloggers out there who take their podcast and turn it into a blog. Yes. Okay, beautiful. Are there any other things coming to mind? Any shares, anything like that? You're feeling good?
Jamie, I also have another question.
Yeah.
Because I'm not so technically, challenged, I'm gonna try and record a podcast. I don't even know how long I should go for. I'm thinking 10 minutes is probably long enough. And I'm wanting to probably do maybe 4 episodes ahead, because I know that when I go back to work, once I have this fixed, I am not going to have time to record a lot, because it's just going to be very hectic. So I'm thinking at least 4 episodes ahead of myself, because I'll probably post every fortnightly, twice a month.
Okay. Yeah, for the length, honestly, Sandy, if you just know where you're going in the episode, it's weird, but it's just gonna feel done. You're gonna feel complete. Like, oh, that was 5 minutes, or that was 50 minutes. Just don't look at the time. Really, truly,
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
All right. Okay.
Just go with what feels right for you.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
Give it a go. Beautiful.
I thought of one more question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's up?
What are your thoughts on creating a script for your podcast? Are you free flowing, or I know you probably have an idea of what the content is going to be, but do you have a script or not? And what are your thoughts on having a script versus not?
Yeah, I think that's also like, that might be something for each of you to connect with actually after we get off of here. If you're the kind of person who wants to read word for word and then just get really good at, okay, so like April, you put in the chat, like, I could read this thing that you put in the chat. I'll need to put some thought into this. I'm active on Instagram, maybe YouTube instead of LinkedIn. I do think activity on a platform helps attract individuals though to your launch. So like you can script word for word the entire thing, and you'll just need to practice on getting really good at reading it with the fluctuations in your voice, which is how I started, not gonna lie. And that taught me so much of having to follow a script but not sound like you're following a script. And then what happened after that is it became a bullet point script. Okay, we're going to be talking about creating content for your podcast today. So by the end of this episode, you're going to understand how to effectively grow your audience for your podcast. And then so I would understand we're going there, and then I would have bullets. Boom, boom, boom. And I don't know if you've seen it in the portal. I actually inside of there have created an outline for you guys to follow. That's that structure. So you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you're going to tell them the juicy goodness and the stories. And then you're going to tell them what you told them. So that's basically like literally that's the script that I use at this point. And I'll just know where we're going. But if you feel more comfortable fully scripting it out, that's also totally cool. You can always change it.
I mean, I tried to script and it sounded like I was reading.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this isn't going to work for me. It just sounded really bad. So I think I'm going to have to learn to do bullet points and just try and make sure that I don't go off topic too much.
Yeah. You'll find your groove. That's the beautiful thing. You will.